January 13th, Town of Andrew Planning Board meeting order. Start with the pledge allegiance, and I don't have my kids in front of me. The pledge allegiance, and I'll lead here. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'll bow your heads and pray with me. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us here today as we start this new year in the town of Andrew. We look forward to using the skills and the brain power that you have given us to help make the town of Andrew a better place to live. We look forward to doing your work and working with many other people in our area. In your name we pray. Amen. So next on the agenda would be approving the agenda as written. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda or any modifications that we may need?
Motion to approve the agenda as is.
We have a motion to approve the agenda as is. All those in favor, raise your right hand. The next will be the approval of the minutes from November. Is that correct?
October.
From October.
Yes.
I know they're in the package. I did look through them. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes? The board will entertain a motion to approve minutes or make modifications.
I make a motion to approve the minutes, the October minutes.
So we have a motion to approve the October minutes as written. All those in favor, raise your right hand. The motion will carry. Next, we should have some procedural pieces, which would be the election of the officers for the town planning board. I will say, if you would like for me to remain as president, I would actually like to do that as we work on the UDO. And then for the second half of my appointed term, I would like to step away and let other people do the job.
We need to make.
Make a motion and then y'all vote.
I make a motion to elect Everett as planning board president. Chairman. I'm sorry.
Chairman.
Yeah.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And then I would make a motion to keep Eric Fry as the Julian as the co-chair or the vice chair for another year.
I'm good with that.
All those in favor? There we go. So that should take care of all the procedural things we had for tonight's meeting.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to turn this over to Jeff to talk about some of the other processes we want to get accomplished this year.
Yeah, so, we're going to take the opportunity, being a little slower on plan review, although those will come back. I've had a couple of meetings already this week on potential projects that would come before you. To take a look at our newly adopted comprehensive plan. I've got copies for you all tonight, and then particularly the implementation section of that, of the comprehensive plan. So let me pass those out for you.
I'll grab that.
Then I'm going to give you, I've taken the implementation section out, this section, that's color-coded to long-term, medium-term, and short-term, and ongoing priority projects. So I really wanted to hear from you all. I know the UDO and updating the UDO will be on our agenda for this year. The comprehensive plan pulls out 14 short-term projects or implementation items that we can work on. I have went through and in the completed section, I have assigned either staff, planning board, administration, town board, parks and rec staff, public works staff. I've taken a stab at taking a look at this. If you all read through it tonight or in the weeks to come and you feel like, well, no, I think the planning board needs to be involved in that priority project or that action item, let me know and we'll add it to your list. But generally speaking, your list includes things that was an action item to the UDO. Update section 6.6 of the UDO to develop more robust stream buffer requirements for new development. And the list goes on from there of action items. That's a starting point for us. I know that this is not a comprehensive list of all the things we want to take a look at the UDO. So I'm really here to hear from you all and maybe come up with an approach of how we go through the UDO. And it may be that we take chapters out of the UDO each month. We sort of kind of work our way through them and identify issues. We may not be ready to, at that meeting, to do anything about it, but we identify issues of that particular section, and then staff can go and do some rewrites. So it could take us a little time to get through, but I'm really just wanting to hear from you all of the approach that you want to go through the UDO.
Well, I will say, oddly enough, when you handed me this one, the first thing my hand did was open up into the items in the back. And I went, I love the fact that this is here to remind us that these are things that we are supposed to be taking actions on.
Right.
So then to get this, which is even better, that says department, etc.
Right.
I think this is awesome. This helps remind the comprehensive land use committee, the board, everybody else that this is something that we need to be looking at and considering constantly over the next 20 years.
Yes.
19 years, according to the math.
Right.
But no, I'm glad you put this together. I think this is something that is incredibly important.
And this will be shared with other departments, administration as well, and the town board. I anticipate doing some sort of presentation to the town board in the coming months of the comprehensive plan and the implementation items that they will need to work on. Some of these things are budgetary items, capital projects that are listed in here, things that we need direction on them from. So I want them to be aware of their role in the comprehensive plan and not just be, in the book and sitting on a shelf. Part of the town's strategic plan and now the comprehensive plan is to have quarterly updates, periodic updates of progress on the strategic plan and the comprehensive plan. So for us, when we don't have a heavy workload of projects that you all need to review, we absolutely will be looking at this implementation section, particularly these things, but then even other things in the UDO. I know, Everett, you've got ideas about streets and how those need to be laid out, and then setbacks and how those garages and how those work with parking and things like that. So we've got time. If I don't feel like there's anything detrimental in the ordinance right now that we need to immediately take care of. If I saw that, we would definitely do that. But right now, I think we can systematically work through the UDO and our wish list and talk about them.
What I would like to, I think it would be great to have a joint meeting, a workshop with the new town board.
Okay.
And the planning board to, which also then includes all of everybody on the Board of Adjustment,
Right.
to look at some of this and say, I know the new town board has seems to have a very strong feeling against small size lots.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to look at how we have R6 listed? Is R6 something that we change and say this is a conditional use only,
Mm-hmm.
or it's conditional use only with an exception of a certain area in downtown?
Right.
Do we take out everything else everywhere else? But to say if you're going to put in 5 houses, 6 houses on a small lot, on a small area, not big enough to be a subdivision,
Right.
this is what R6 you would need to live up to.
Okay. Yeah.
But that may be, because I think that may, for some of them, they'd want to address that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, I can't say no small lots because I think they have benefits. I would also love to find a way to have, and the one thing I know this town does not have very much of is we have tons of rentals.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have high quality rental that is good for a rental apartment. And it may be something that would be nice to see if you can mix that along with a commercial development
Mm-hmm.
where it would attract a townhome, some rental, some other things in a large mixed use environment.
Mm-hmm. I know here in the next couple of months, Harnett County Economic Development will be presenting to the town board. I would encourage you all to listen or be in attendance of that meeting, because what they will talk about is the market and what's really driving development in Harnett County and in Anger, and part of that will be apartments as well.
Okay.
And high density, and where that needs to be located, and how do we get it, and what's the breaking point of that, because one day there will be apartments.
And of course, in my head, everything I keep thinking about now is the development we need to bring in needs to pay for itself,
Mm-hmm.
and pay for itself in city services.
Right.
Bringing in houses or apartments or other things that actually can't contribute to the value is very tough.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we definitely need to look at those things. Thinking about our current zoning ordinance, UDO, it comprises of about 15 sections, where really the meat of the development section is 1 through 9, I would say. 9 being the infrastructure one. So we could easily go through. Some chapters may take longer, but we can start, with 1 and 2 and sort of work our way down. And so I would anticipate us having a meeting each month until we get to a good point. And so we may speak, talk about a couple of sections, send me off to do some work. I'll bring some changes back to you all, some suggestions back to you all, and then we'll talk about the next sections. But I think the meeting with the town board, a joint workshop, is a good idea. I'll float that up to Derek and see if that can happen.
and then any other questions, guys, about I love having a checklist.
I was going to ask, so for the UDO, I think you had mentioned that there's nothing glaring that needs to change.
Well, nothing, but I think Everett does point out something that has occurred in the last few months that some may want to take care of, which is R6. And that may be the one that rises to the top that we take care of sooner rather than later. So we can easily do that. We can make everything, I can change the chart to ZZ, and then everything that needs to be rezoned to R6 is a conditional zoning. So those types of changes can happen quickly. Just want to make sure you all and the town board, that's the direction to send me in.
Okay. I was just wondering, like, so is it more about just kind of modernizing the UDO, or is it,
It
or yeah,
it is, and making sure that the comprehensive plan's vision is spoken to in the regulations. So if there's something in the regulations that hinders the vision, we need to look at it and address it. That's really what I'm thinking we need to do. I think in my practice, Andrew is in a good place because we honestly don't have a lot of regulations that we have to change. We may need to add some things to get a better product, but we're not dealing with 500 pages of words that we don't want. So it's a good thing, because I've worked in other places that we've had 500 pages of things we don't want, and you gotta go through the effort of changing those things.
are there any things that you would say too that the UDO might be missing, or anything that or lacks specificity in?
Yeah, I think what came out in the planning process for the comprehensive plan, natural resources and conserving those, and more landscaping, buffering. We're a little lax on that. Open space, we're a little lax on that. It's good that we have some, but you can have a fairly sizable development, 19 acres, and have no open space. So there are things that need to be back to the modernization of the ordinance. That would be one. Open space for sure.
Okay.
And, when we set limits a long time ago, the conversation was, okay, do we do open space at 20 acres? And then you sat back and said, well, how many parcels could be 20 acres? How many parcels could this possibly be? And you're like, well, all it really takes is 2 10-acre parcels side by side to make a 20 acre. But as we've seen, a 14-acre can not do a whole lot. So what I have seen the town like is that connectivity from one neighborhood to the next. I was driving through and I saw a gentleman having a barbecue at his house in Myrtle Manor. And I said, so what have you really enjoyed so far about this neighborhood? He goes, I haven't walked so much. He goes, but I have trails. I have trails everywhere.
Great.
I have pre-done sidewalk. He goes, I can walk all the way up to the curb. And I was going like, which curb? And he goes, 55. And I was like, so Cotswood, all through that area. And he was going like, yeah. He goes, this is awesome. I love this. I get to walk. I get to go places. He said, but when do I get to go all the way to town? And I said, those are coming. I said, we built what we could build, but the way I look at it is if we are helping builders with water, sewer, things like that help reduce their density. They need to help us with the sidewalk. They need to help us with some open spaces. They need to help us with parking. And we need to be able to say, yes, you can have all that, but I got to have your number one street coming in your neighborhood. You have to have 2 cars easily pass through if you're going to allow street parking.
Right.
We need to, in the past, we didn't care about having 3 lanes leaving a neighborhood because we didn't have that much traffic.
But now we do.
Well, now we do. So now that needs to become, as I say, a non-negotiable.
Right. This needs to become a requirement.
Yep.
Right.
Years ago, I don't think we worried so much about the fire department turning around, because everybody loves to finish in a cul-de-sac. And I'm like, well, cul-de-sacs are exclusive and they don't allow you to connect to the next neighborhood. But no, those are the things that I look at.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, what I would look at is, where can we allow builders to come talk to our town planning staff and say, how do we get the best product, but not have everything 100% written in black and white, where there's no wiggle room, where we can say, if you give us an extra gazebo in this, we can, let you have a slightly smaller yard, or in certain cases, a smaller setback that will allow a bigger backyard, but you're still in a small yard. I think there are things we can definitely do for builders, because we're not necessarily as picky as we used to be, or desperate, I guess, back then.
That's right. We can be a little bit
Yes.
picky. Yes. What we want to do is develop a menu list or a toolbox of things that we can pull out or read off of to a developer. Say, these are the things that the town's looking for, especially when you're going through a conditional zoning process. You want smaller lots, you want townhomes. These are the things that we have historically wanted, and we're going to have these things, and then have those, non-negotiables in the ordinance, and then have a menu list of things that we might fit the situation, have those ready for us too, as alternatives or options.
And of course, I think we've already fixed my townhome issue in most cases.
Yeah, what was that?
I think when we made it was a special use,
Mm-hmm.
where if it was over 20, you had to get a special use permit.
Right.
And the developers took that as, I can build more than 20
Yeah.
in these locations. And we know the original intent was, if you want more than 20, you have to get a special use, not that is a granted.
Right.
So, but I would like to re-explore dumpster services in townhome areas.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think having 15 to 20 trash cans in those locations is very tough for the trash people to pick up, especially around school bus pickups and other things, and the aesthetics of the trash cans that get stuck out there for 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, what I hear as that's something that we do not want to continue moving forward with projects is Spring Village. Their townhome sections, very small lots, 1 car garage, 1 car park or driveways, small streets where people are parking on the street, and it can be chaotic in that area. I've already had homeowners in the townhome section want to just pave over their entire front yard, and that's not what we want either. We don't want just pavement or concrete everywhere. We have, as a town, required parking lots, but people don't want to use parking lots for long-term storage of their vehicles. They want their vehicles in front of their homes, and we can all appreciate that. So the idea of parking lots being used as extra parking, we might need to think about that. There's probably some validity to guest parking and short-term parking, but to ask a homeowner, a block down to park in the parking lot probably isn't something that they're going to do. They're going to park on the street or try to pave over their front of their lawn. So things like that, we can drive around, all of us can, and see and look on a daily basis. I like that. I don't like that. How did we get that? I don't want to get that. So what was that in the PUD or the conditional zoning? We don't need to replicate that. So that's the exercise that we'll all need to do over the next few months is drive around town. Look, this is good, this is not. And come back, each month and we can talk about them. I would anticipate me pulling the sections out, maybe highlighting some things in those sections for you to think about, and then come to the meeting and then we can talk about them.
And because I get overzealous, I'd love for you to redline some of the things or certain things, and you can't do that.
Right.
This, I look at it and I see a neighborhood where we have put in sidewalks everywhere, and it's a great way to walk around. But at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, every single driveway has a car parked over top of the sidewalk. Yeah. So the idea of having that is great. The fact that now the kids are in the street because all the cars are in the driveway, little things like that. And maybe I would take your rear setback and make it smaller.
Right.
If you would use it for a little more room to park in the front.
Right. Yeah, we'll definitely look at those things. I look at new house permits daily, weekly for sure. And it amazes me that we have a 20-foot setback. They put it at 21 feet or 20.5 or even 20. It is to the minimum setback. And that's where you will have two cars in a driveway over the sidewalk. So maybe we don't want that. How do we regulate that? How do we encourage builders to give us 5 more feet, push the houses back just a little bit? So we may need to learn from some of our neighbors. If you're out and about in some of the surrounding neighboring towns and you drive through a place and you like it, let me know what that is. I can always talk to my fellow planners and other places and see if they can send me the plans for those projects. Yeah, I think when we get into it, we're going to realize, we probably want more changes than we think today. Yeah, things are working, but could they work a little bit better? So I think, again, when we get into it, we may kind of, especially some sections, we may get bogged down just a little bit. And that's where direction from the town board will be helpful too.
And what is the actual change of UDO process? If we said we have chapter 6, chapter 5, or section 5, subsection so-and-so, that we have to change right away.
Mm-hmm.
You write it up.
Yep.
Comes to the planning board. We vote on it. It goes to the town board as a public meeting.
Public hearing.
Right. And then they vote it after the public hearing.
They would. Yes.
And so it's 30, 60 days.
Could. Yes.
To get something amended like that.
Correct. Yes. Depending on once the direction you all give me and how quickly I can get that through and then back to you for review and a recommendation to the board, 60 days probably is that good number. Could be 45 days, just depends on when you all meet and then the town board meets.
And I mean, after reviewing it and looking at it again and playing through it and anytime I now start doing our UDO when I hear somebody else in another town building it.
Right.
Is I start looking at what they're building and how it equates to us.
Right.
And see what they're being required to do, what maybe we shouldn't do. But with the exception of one or two things, I don't think there's anything emergency.
Right.
I think we've taken care of those things, and you've done a very good job of making sure we fix those things over the last few years.
Right.
Now we have the time to say, here's our UDO. We have a year to work on it. Hopefully we can hand the town board a finished revised product, say in October timeline.
Right.
And that November, December, they have time to talk about it. It may not even be a bad idea to have a public workshop to say, these are the things we're talking about.
Right.
Did we miss the mark? And at the same time, we'd love to have a developer or two come during the timeline and talk and talk to us.
Sure.
And then the last piece is DOT. Love to get them in to talk about the bypass for one.
Yes.
What we are allowed to do on connecting roads around the bypass. Because as I say, the panic I got the other day was somebody said building a bypass or building a roundabout on 55. And I said, wait a second, stop. You're not talking about on the bypass. And they're like, well, they said 55, so yeah. And I'm going like, no way. That would not happen. Yeah. And I said, so now we have to learn to define business 55 and the Highway 55, which is the bypass. And I was right, because I could put a roundabout on business 55 and it'd be great.
Is business 55. And that is what it is named, and that's really how we should
Yep.
differentiate between the two, bypass or Raleigh Street. Everett, you're right. DOT, it would be a good idea for DOT to at least present to the town board all these questions that you and others have had. So we're working on that to try to get them to the town board meeting.
Yep.
Because I've got questions too. I want to
And-
be able to answer your questions.
And if y'all weren't here for the town board meeting, I thought they did a great job talking about the new park, and access to the new park, and some of the things that would be going on there, which, you know, the only question I have is, when can we get out the other side of the park,
Yes.
and where would that other side go?
Right.
Because as much as everybody has a fit about Jack Marley only having one entrance, which I personally love, for me, I think it's amazing because it's people can't speed through there.
Right.
When will that new park have a second entrance?
Absolutely. And I know that has been a question and something that various staff people over the years have worked on. We would love to have a second entrance in. And one day, maybe Campbell Street will be the, not the main entrance. It'll be the secondary entrance,
Yep.
the back entrance into the park. But for now, Campbell Street is that entrance, and we're going to go with it because we need those parks and
I
those
would
facilities.
love some connecting to Guy Road. I can go
Absolutely.
right around the corner from my house.
Guy Road or Benson Road, it would be wonderful to be able to go out that way. And there's a couple of large single-owned tracks that front Guy Road or Benson Road. Those will be developed one day, and we would hope that we're able to be at the table when they do get developed and have conversations about that connectivity to the park. So yeah.
And I guess the only other thing that I would like to see is possibly Jay Sykes or Sarah Arbor from the county, talking a little bit about what they're doing just on the outskirts of the ETJ and where some of our properties are annexing in,
Okay.
and kind of see what they're doing, how we're doing it, how Lillington is doing, and seeing what the other areas that we will bump into eventually. And because I'd really hate to see a void where we've been doing X, Y, and Z, sidewalk, curb and gutter, different things, and then somebody develop in the county and none of that's required.
Yeah.
You know, no additional turn lane, no, where we could blend in more easily.
Right. Yeah.
So that would be something nice to see, is how we can work with them. So it is a different organization.
Yeah, it's a little advantageous, but we certainly can talk about that. I know, there is some pedestrian level thought in the county and Lillington. We all drive on the major roads and we see, these side paths along. So those are good things, and that's something that Andrew necessarily doesn't have. We have sidewalks everywhere.
Yep.
But we might need side paths and bike lanes and things like that.
I'd ask wider.
Yeah, those are the
Yeah.
wider ones along like 210 and stuff.
Don't we have one?
Yeah.
We have one bike lane
Yeah, we may have one bike lane, but
by the post office. Is that one down from the post office by the townhomes?
maybe.
That can use. Well, it does. I don't think it has a
I don't
symbol
think
of
it's
bike.
I think it
But,
may
yeah.
not. Yeah, it may not be painted that
Yeah,
way.
paint,
Yeah. We definitely can do that. When Greg and I were going through the comprehensive plan, we did meet with the county and Lillington, talk about their plans, and we sort of wrote our comprehensive plan to make developing in Anger a little bit more advantageous. So where our densities may be just a little bit higher, where we have water and sewer, than the counties.
Yep.
So try to entice people to come to Anger, because they could develop under the county, but we can figure out how to get either some resources to you all from the county, that how a development would look, and or have them come and talk to you guys.
And especially some of the possible annexation pieces, when we look at Harnett County Parks and Rec, and some of their plans to expand their walking trail, some of their multimodal conversations, which right now, goes from almost Coates through Campbell down 401 to Raven Rock.
Yep.
Which is a great idea because it ties into the Dunn Rail Trail as well. So I mean that becomes a north of the river, south of the river, massive walkway, bike
Right.
path.
Right. Yeah.
And then how do we take like the one that was built out on it's a series of townhomes built just outside of Anger, and they have the old rail trail beside them.
Oh, Camden Place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how do we go incorporate that in the future?
We've got this land. Let's make a trail on it.
Yep.
Yeah. That would be nice.
But those definitely open it up. And I did talking to Austin afterwards. I said, for now that I don't have any kids playing travel baseball, I wasn't quite so upset about not having a tournament quality
Right.
facility at the park,
Right.
but we're going to have it at the middle school. So we have it within what would be 2 miles of town.
Right.
So we got it. We just let the county pay for it.
Sure.
Not a bad way to go.
That's right. Yeah. Any
Mm.
other priority things that you all would like to see this year? Again, I think we will have development. It's sort of, there was a waiting period for the election to occur and the new year to start. But I have spoken to a couple of developers this week, waiting for that. And their question is, well, how's the new board? Well, they really haven't met. They got elected, and there was like a waiting period. So I've encouraged them all to reach out to the new board because what their projects are conditional zoning type projects. So they can go talk to board members and you all too. So they may reach out to you all. But yes, there was a lull, but now I believe things will pick back up.
Is there anything that developers are looking for, or that they're
Well,
maybe-
they are. Well, what does the town want? So
Okay.
they are really kind of coming to us and saying, "What do you want?" And so I go through the list of things that I know we have asked for in the past. But this process that we're going through will help us inform what we want. I point to the comprehensive plan. This is our vision. But to say, do we want 160 townhomes or 140? I don't know. That's for the town board and for the part where's it at in town and how does it connect to the streets. It's hard for me to sort of give guidance on that. That's why we changed the rule that they can go and talk to the board members. Yeah. So.
I mean, personally, I would love the shopping center, big lot store with some side stores and an entertainment area, and then have 3 types of homes around it.
Yeah.
If you for me, it's like going to 6 North Hills.
Right.
You have multiple shopping, multiple living, great things, townhomes, rental properties,
Right.
and then the block behind it, you have single family homes.
Sure.
But it takes a very special developer
It does.
to want to try to do that for you.
It does.
And I think we have to give them a lot of stuff. So we'll work on that.
But hopefully we'll gain a
Yeah.
lot too. Yeah. So yeah, we'll work on that. But that's what I'm
Yep.
hearing is, what does this town want?
Yeah.
It's not, and that's a good thing because they're not coming to us and saying, here it is, take it. We're going to submit this and you're going to approve it, right?
Mm.
So that mindset has changed over the years. So that's a good thing.
Anything downtown in that area that we should consider, look at, begin to think of as ways to entice?
Yeah.
I mean, I know my family's taking a trip in March to Aiken for a steeplechase.
Uh-huh.
We picked where we're going to stay to be near what they call the alley.
Sure.
And the alley is an internal walking way between 4 blocks worth of restaurants and things
Mm-hmm.
that they light up, and they allow You can leave the property and walk outside with your beverage.
Mhm.
You can have a band in an area playing on the edge of outside, and it's incredibly well lit with parking around it. So I mean, we picked a place that we can be there in a 2-block walk for the night.
Yeah, so the town does have a community development advisory board. That board sort of acts like a planning board in my mind a little bit, because I would see downtown enhancements, improvements, ordinance changes, and those are my mindset is reflected in the who it's assigned to in the implementation list, that they would be sort of the first sounding board for some of those items. Obviously, any ordinance requirements has to come through you all for changes, but I'm going to be using the community advisory board to sort of figure out what we want for downtown, signage wise. Are there uses that we don't want downtown? I can tell you there is. Are there regulations to a downtown beverage district?
Yep.
Is that something that would be helpful to encourage people to be downtown? So that board, they meet monthly as well. So we're going to start working on those types of things. So I'll have two planning boards essentially.
Well,
One
awesome.
focused on downtown and businesses, and then you guys. Yeah.
Well, cool. Gentlemen, anything else?
I really do appreciate y'all coming out.
Well, so in that case, no, we finished all the old stuff, all the agenda items. I will entertain a motion to dismiss the planning board meeting.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the planning board meeting.
All right, all those in favor? Motion will carry.
Thank you, board.